It happened. Japan has openly sided with Ukraine. A powerful blow to the Putin regime is now official. Japan joins the Pearl program. The first millions. What will the funds from Tokyo be used for? Plus, a shield against missiles. What kind of weapons is Ukraine receiving the most through this program? And also, the military are heading to Europe. For the first time in history, Japan is sending its career officers to the NATO headquarters in Germany. Importantly, they will be studying Ukraine's experience. How did the land of the rising sun become our major ally? Watch right now. Welcome to the channel Ukraine Today, about how Japan has openly taken Ukraine's side right now. My name is Andrei Silikov, and we're getting started. One of the most powerful countries in Asia is officially and resolutely joining our defense. Japan has completely dropped its mask and openly taken Kiev's side. Tokyo is taking a historic step that, until recently, seemed simply impossible for Japanese diplomacy. The government of Japan will now directly finance the purchase of advanced American military equipment for the armed forces of Ukraine and deploy its own military personnel to Europe. For the Putin regime, this is a real disaster on the eastern flank.
Japan's contribution to NATO's priority list of requirements for Ukraine. Pearl. Japan has allocated $14,658,000, approximately 2.2 billion yen from the additional budget for the 2025 fiscal year, for the initiative of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, for the priority list of Ukraine's needs, the Pearl.
But the main blow to Moscow was Japan's official accession to the most important NATO program called Pearl. This is a special alliance initiative through which partner countries purchase advanced American equipment and immediately transfer it to Ukraine. Rumors about this decision had been circulating since the beginning of the year, but now the Japanese Foreign Ministry has put all the dots on the i's. Tokyo has officially confirmed its participation and its readiness to play an important role in supporting the Ukrainian army. President Zelensky has already personally thanked the Japanese partners for this unprecedented support.
This contribution is intended for a package of measures within the initiative that covers only non-lethal equipment. The details of the non-lethal equipment to be provided will be coordinated with NATO.
Exactly. The Japanese government did not waste any time and has already allocated the first powerful financial tranche. These funds were specifically taken from the country's payment budget for the next fiscal year. According to strict agreements, all Japanese millions will be used solely for the purchase of non-lethal equipment for our military. A detailed shopping list is now being actively coordinated with NATO leadership in order to address the most urgent needs at the front as quickly as possible.
It is expected that the non-lethal equipment provided will be fully consistent with the support delivered through NATO's comprehensive assistance package for Ukraine. This is the cap, to which Japan has actively contributed up to the present time. Japan will continue to support Ukraine in achieving a just as well as a lasting peace and intends to further strengthen cooperation between Japan and NATO.
To fully grasp the scale and importance of this program, it is through the Pearl initiative that Ukraine receives the lion's share of its protection against Russian missiles. This was previously reported by Ukraine's Minister of Defense, Mikhailo Fedorov.
Ballistics remain one of the biggest challenges for the defense of Ukraine's skies. That is why it is critically important to continue the supply of PAC-2 GEM-T and PAC-3 missiles, as well as to further develop the Pearl mechanism. Today, through the Pearl initiative, Ukraine receives more than 90% of all its anti-ballistic capabilities.
28 countries around the world have already joined this program, and total contributions since the beginning of this year alone have exceeded $1.5 billion. And now, this powerful club has a reliable Japanese partner. But financial assistance is far from everything. Japan has made yet another sensational decision. For the first time since the start of the Great War, Tokyo is sending its career military personnel to directly support Ukraine.
The Ministry of Defense and the Self-Defense Forces of Japan have decided to send 4 servicemen to the headquarters of the NATO program. Japan's Ministry of Defense stated that these servicemen will assist and provide training in the field of security for Ukraine at NSATU located in Germany.
The alliance has already given full official consent for the arrival of Japanese specialists. This step breaks all the usual patterns. After all, Japan itself is not even a member of the alliance, but it can be assumed that Tokyo clearly understands that the security of Europe and the security of Asia are now inextricably linked. Japanese military personnel are not going to Germany for no reason. They will be adopting advanced Ukrainian experience in modern warfare. Japan's Ministry of Defense has stated directly that this knowledge is very important for strengthening their defense.
At this point, NATO's approval process has been completed, which is what prompted this announcement. This assignment will help strengthen Japan's own defense capabilities by acquiring experience gained in Ukraine, particularly regarding the relatively new way of waging war. It will also deepen cooperation between Japan and NATO in the context of the inseparability of security between the North Atlantic and Indo-Pacific regions. Japan's Ministry of Defense and Self-Defense Forces will continue to develop security and defense cooperation between Japan and NATO, the Ministry of Defense of Japan added.
All these steps prove that Tokyo may be building a long-term strategy of global deterrence against aggressors. Japan has already become one of the largest donors to NATO's Trust Fund for Ukraine. By providing active funding for medicine and demining, the Japanese are now planning to go even further and join the alliance's defense initiatives, including joint satellite launch projects. Putin hoped to divide the world and isolate Ukraine, but all he achieved is that even distant Japan has now openly joined the global coalition for our protection. And while Japan strikes a blow to Putin's plans, Sweden is providing Ukraine with guarantees of 236 million euros for the payment of pensions and salaries. But most importantly, Stockholm is giving a record amount of nearly $3 billion for drones and the famous Swedish Gripen fighter jets. As Europe continues to powerfully arm our army. Watch the report.
Ukrainian military personnel are already undergoing training on Gripen fighter jets. And in the fall, the training program for pilots and personnel will be expanded, said the Swedish Minister of Defense, Paul Jonsson. In October 2025, the governments of Kiev and Stockholm specifically signed a letter of intent that opened up opportunities for the supply of Swedish fighter jets. And on May 28th, the parties concluded an agreement on the transfer of 150 Swedish multi-role fighter jets, announced Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and Swedish Prime Minister Ulf Kristersson, after negotiations in Stockholm. At the same time, 16 aircraft will be delivered to Ukraine at the beginning of 2027 and 22 of the newest Gripen E models by 2030.
Ukraine has clearly identified the Gripen aircraft as the top choice for its needs, for its air force in the long term, and intends to acquire the latest version, the Gripen E. Negotiations are ongoing, and we will be able to deliver these aircraft by 2030. This will expand Ukrainian air defense and the air protection of Europe. We are receiving weapons, and we are grateful that we are getting aircraft with armaments, not just the planes themselves. These fighter jets are equipped with specific weaponry, in particular the Meteor missile, which can strike targets at a distance of over 200 kilometers. We believe that we will be able to push out these Russian aircraft, and they will not be able to use guided bombs on a large scale.
Gripen fighters form the backbone of the Swedish Air Force, and they are constantly being upgraded. And the new generation is equipped with everything necessary for modern combat, featuring long-range radar systems and advanced weaponry, including Meteor air-to-air missiles, as well as powerful electronic warfare systems. The Gripen is more affordable and much simpler to maintain than, for example, the F-16, as experts often note. In addition, it requires a shorter runway. The Gripen can take off in 800 meters and land in 600. The aircraft can be refueled and rearmed in a very short time. In other words, it is capable of landing with its engines running, being refueled, rearmed, and then deployed back into the combat zone.
The Saab Gripen is indeed a capable fourth-generation multi-role aircraft, MIB. These are the very newest models equipped with significantly updated avionics systems, which can in many ways be directly compared to, for example, the F-16, and perhaps they even, let's say, surpass those older platforms in several key areas now. Because the F-16 Fighting Falcon as a model, even with the most recent technological upgrades, is still, let's say, no longer the most modern American aircraft. That is why I am firmly and deeply convinced that this crucial piece of aviation technology, which we have been so sorely lacking for some time, if we can finally fill that gap with these Gripens, it would be absolutely and truly wonderful.
In Sweden, they are not afraid of the Kremlin's reaction. Ulf Kristersson gave assurances that Kiev's partners are very well aware of what Russia thinks about countries that provide support to Ukraine and impose sanctions against the aggressor state. And the Kremlin's opinion, of course, will not make Sweden back down from.
All the countries in our region are fully prepared for various Russian reactions, hybrid threats, and the continuation of any other similar actions. So in fact, this doesn't really change anything at all in any way.
Sweden will allocate a new aid package to Ukraine worth $2.7 billion. The president of Ukraine announced that $400 million will be directed toward drone production. However, the majority of the funds will go toward purchasing Gripen aircraft. To acquire the fighter jets, Ukraine also plans to use credit funds from the European Union.
They expect to receive the first Gripen aircraft over the course of the next 10 months. For our part, we will do everything possible.
Ukraine needs assistance from its partners to defend against massive Russian shelling. The biggest problem for Ukrainian air defense remains Russian ballistic missiles. That is why it is critically important for Ukraine that deliveries of PAC-2, GEM-T and PAC-3 missiles continue. This was stated by Ukraine's Minister of Defense Mikhailo Fedorov as part of the Pearl program. Kyiv receives more than 90% of its anti-ballistic capabilities thanks to this initiative. The head of the Ukrainian Defense Ministry held a meeting with representatives of the U.S. Congress, Richard Blumenthal and Jim Himes. The key topic was the priorities of defense support for Ukraine, in particular, issues of airspace protection, strengthening the front, and technological cooperation. Karina Lalayan for Freedom TV channel.
And part of this money will go toward unique Ukrainian technologies that are right now changing the rules of the game on the front line. Our fighters are already actively using the latest strike drone, Behemoth, capable of carrying dozens of kilograms of explosives for 300 kilometers. Watch how these unmanned giants destroy the occupiers.
Here is where its warhead is located. The first part is actually a high explosive fragmentation charge. The second part, a bit further back where the fuel tanks would normally be, contains a thermobaric warhead.
This is a true airborne giant. Behemoth is a unique Ukrainian heavyweight among drones. The drone has already seen combat. One of its features is the ability to fly at extremely low altitudes, making the UAV almost invisible to enemy air defenses.
The total warhead weight is 75 kilograms. Currently, this device can fly up to 300 kilometers, and we have other models that can fly up to 1,000 kilometers.
Behemoth belongs to the middle strike class of drones. It has already entered mass production and is being used by Ukraine's defense forces. The UAV is fully equipped to support a fully autonomous semi-automatic FPV flight control operation mode.
Overall, it has performed very well. The military have left very positive feedback. They are very satisfied with it. And
this ground robot droid has already become a legend on the front line. Fighters from the 5th Assault Brigade used it to blow up a Russian armored vehicle along with its crew. The developers say this is the first documented case in the world where a wheeled robot destroyed equipment in combat and also captured Russian occupiers.
3 prisoners were taken as seen in the video. One of them was wounded. Why is it important to use ground-based systems in such cases? Because a captured prisoner who may tell you that everything is fine, I surrender, can at the very last moment throw a grenade at your feet, because he really doesn't want to surrender. And in such a case, when a ground-based system is present, what can he do? At most, he can only damage the metal.
Another type of Ukrainian drone reliably protects the skies. The Paivan-san is a hunter of enemy aerial targets. Its body is printed on a 3D printer.
6 months ago, we introduced it on the front line. Now it is very effective in use against Shaheds. They have about 3,500 successful Shahed kills to their credit. The Paivan-san itself can reach speeds of up to 310 kilometers per hour. It has a modular system. It is the cheapest interceptor in the world. For the Ukrainian army, it costs about $1,000. A warhead of up to 800 grams can be placed in this compartment. The camera is very easy to remove and can be replaced with a night vision or AI-powered one.
Since the beginning of 2026 alone, the state has delivered almost 500,000 UAVs and robotic systems to Ukrainian defenders. More than 31 billion hryvnias have already been allocated to the drone program. International partners have separately earmarked more than $2.5 billion for the development of Ukrainian drone technologies. According to the Ministry of Defense, Ukraine has already become a world leader in drone warfare. Today, more than 450 Ukrainian companies are developing cutting-edge FPV drones, interceptor drones, and artificial intelligence systems that operate even under intense electronic jamming.
And while our drones are striking the occupiers, Russian drones are already attacking residential buildings in NATO countries. The alliance is convening an emergency meeting after a Putin drone struck a high-rise building in Romania. Bucharest is urgently demanding the deployment of powerful air defense systems. How the West will respond to this terror is discussed in the report.
It happened in the middle of the night when Russia was carrying out a massive strike on civilian targets in Ukraine. Romanian radars tracked the Russian drone all the way to the south of Galați. The military scrambled 2 F-16 fighter jets and a helicopter. However, they decided not to shoot down the target over the city due to the high risk to the population. The drone crashed into a residential building. As a result of the strike, 2 people were injured. Residents of the high-rise were evacuated.
We were all terrified. For example, I was at home. I live behind the apartment building. It happened at 2 in the morning and we were all scared. Absolutely everyone. My mother, my whole family, the children. Because of that drone, we could have died. I'm scared. What can I say? I was left speechless. Do we still have any safety left? Not anymore, right? It was intercepted around 1 in the morning before it fell on the city, right in the center. What did the army do? What did the defense forces do? We are deaf. We are definitely no longer safe in Galați.
Bucharest has notified its alliance partners about the incident. Romania officially declared that the situation comprehensively satisfies the criteria necessary to convene allies under Article 4 of the North Atlantic Treaty. This specifically pertains to emergency consultations in the event that any NATO member country believes its territorial integrity, political independence, or security is facing a significant threat. Unlike Article 5, this provision does not obligate the alliance to use military force, but serves as a mechanism for risk assessment and coordination of response measures.
The specific drone model that caused the incident was eventually discovered and located 19 kilometers east of Reni. It entered Romanian airspace, then completely vanished from radar screens after flying about 10 kilometers inside the sovereign airspace of the country. All available data has already been thoroughly analyzed to determine the exact sequence of events, and the analysis clearly showed that there were no real opportunities for a safe intervention. I want to make it absolutely clear, the situation is under control. We are not confronting an attack on Romania. We are dealing with the consequences of a conflict taking place right at our border.
Romanian Foreign Minister Oana Toiu summoned the Russian ambassador to inform him about the specific measures Romania will take at the diplomatic level. The Romanian Ministry of Foreign Affairs called the strike on the residential building a serious escalation on Moscow's part. The incident last night falls into the category of incidents that justify invoking NATO's Article 4. This refers to consultations between allied states at that moment, whenever one of them perceives that there is a threat to its security. Obviously, invoking Article 4 is a collective decision-making process. This is part of the ongoing discussions about the options we currently have. After the drone incident in the city of Galați, Romanian President Nicu Șordan convened an emergency meeting of the Supreme Defense Council. He emphasized that the responsibility for the incident lies entirely with the Russian Federation. Nicu Șordan noted that this is the most serious incident on the country's territory since the start of Russia's full-scale war against Ukraine.
Romania's support for Ukraine, politically, humanitarianly, militarily, and on the path to European integration remains unwavering. The longer Russia persists in its aggression, the clearer it becomes that this war must end with a truly just and lasting peace, one that fully upholds Ukraine's sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity. Romania has formally submitted a request to its allies to deploy further counter-drone measures in order to bolster our defense capabilities and ensure the security of the alliance's eastern flank, in accordance with Secure's instructions. Nicu Șordan, President of Romania.
The NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte characterized the Russian drone attack as a reckless behavior by Russia and assured Romania of NATO's full and unwavering support.
The alliance is ready to defend every inch of Allied territory. We will continue to strengthen and expand our readiness for deterrence and defense against any potential threats, particularly from drones. And the events of last night once again showed that the consequences of their illegal aggressive war do not simply stop at borders. For our part, we will continue to strengthen our means of deterrence and defense, and provide support to Ukraine in its defense against Russian aggression. Mark Rutte, NATO Secretary General, on the social network X.
Ukraine's Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha says Ukraine is ready to cooperate with Romania to bolster defense against Russian aggression.
Strengthening Ukraine's air defense is also a strategic task not only for the defense of our country, but also for reducing risks to our neighbors. Ukraine firmly stands on the side of Romania, and we are ready to closely cooperate to strengthen protection against such threats. Andriy Sybiha, Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, on the social network X.
Moscow has crossed yet another line in its aggression, the European Union stated. Akmam. Russia's ongoing war of aggression has crossed another line. As a direct result of a Russian drone attack in a densely populated area of Romania, innocent civilians on EU territory were injured. We express our full solidarity with Romania and its people. We continue to strengthen our security and deterrence, especially on the eastern border. We will continue to increase pressure on Russia. We are preparing the 21st package of sanctions. Ursula von der Leyen, President of the European Commission, on the social network X. The Russian Consul General in the city of Constanța has been declared persona non grata. The consulate will be closed, announced the President of Romania after the Defense Council meeting.
What do you think of these events? Comment your thoughts, leave a like, and stay updated on the news. More to come.